Welcome everyone to our YouTube channel. People think Switzerland is nothing more than chocolates, cheese, clocks, punctuality, but there is much more to this extraordinary country. It has looming mountains wrapped in the snow all year round, crystal clear lakes and quaint little villages. You can visit peaceful cafes in alpine villages, famous landmarks in Bern and historical monuments in Zurich and Geneva. This country of Europe is a magnet for all the travel enthusiasts around the world. Switzerland has hundreds of breathtaking castles and it presents as a great choice for those wanting a perfect fairy tale vacation. We have sorted out the 10 most beautiful castles in Switzerland for your perfect vacation. 10 most beautiful castles in Switzerland. Some people go crazy at the mere mention of Switzerland, thinking about the scenic pictures that are pride to the name. Everything about Switzerland is enough to send chills down the spine of a traveler. The castles are one of the beautiful reasons for the frenzy around the country, so we have sorted out the 10 most beautiful castles in Switzerland. This list is just for the traveler inside you. 1. Chillon Castle. Assembled on a tiny rough span of land on the coast of Lake Geneva, the castle is a stunning scenery that leaves travelers breathless. Chillon Castle is an abundantly toured historic building in the whole nation. The castle has enormous historical significance, and you can find it in writing as early as 1150, although it was built much ahead. In the 13th century, the actual fortress underwent comprehensive renovations and evolved into housing for the Counts of Savoy. It later became a palace and jail under the Bernese law. In the 19th century, severe renovation gave rise to the enclosures, halls, and inners to their actual honor. 2. Lenzburg Castle. The castle, its ancient museum and the castle cliff with its Neolithic funeral turfs are put down as ancestry areas of nationwide importance. This castle is on our list of the 10 most beautiful castles in Switzerland because of its history. Lenzburg Castle is above the ancient portion of the city of Lenzburg, and it rates among the oldest and greatly significant of Switzerland. Old fractions of the castle date to the 11th century, when the Counts of Lenzburg created it as their seat. 3. Kyburg Castle. Kyburg Castle was the earliest museum castle in the nation when it was eventually opened to the community. Presently the museum is run by the Schloss Kyburg Society, and it has opened a permanent event since the year 1999. This hostel can be found above the Toss River in the canton of Zurich. The Kyburg Castle Museum is an award-winning center that assisted the throne from early 1027. The Garden of High Bailiff Wife was inaugurated in 2001, and a unique recognition prize was provided to the whole display by the European Museum Forum in the year 2002. 4. Thun Castle. The Thun Castle, locally Schloss Thun, was in the 12th century. You can find this castle in the city of Thun as a focal access level to the Bernese Oberland. Initially assembled as a fort, the castle was a reminder of strength with its imposing building, the Knights Hall. The Knights Hall has existed well looked after until today. As a result, it stands as it is put together in the 12th century. Tourists can examine all 5 grounds of the castle that has a jail built in 1886, which has been swiveled into a chronological museum. It also now houses a meeting and activity center, the upscale Schloss Hotel Thun, and its diner. 5. Gruyere Castle. It first unlocked its gates to the community in 1938. Tourists can experience a medieval journey through the castle's ramparts, French-style gardens, guardrooms, and emotional salons. Within its fences are ancient jewels like the robes of the Order of the Golden Fleece and glass windows dating back to the Middle Ages. Bespoke frescoes sanctioned by the bailiffs under the ancient regime, portraits, and trimmings established by 19th century artists. The Gruyere Castle is in the medieval city of Gruyere, Fribourg. Many noble nations convey this system, built between 1270 to 1282 in the normal square agenda of the fortresses in Savoy. 6. Terrasp Castle. Castle Tiraspol overlooks the eponymous region in Upper Engadina. The castle tie in until 1803 to Austria, was besieged and fought over many moments but was never caught. The producer of the mouthwash Odell Karl August Lingner, in the year 1900 purchased the castle and had it entirely renovated. The castle also requests municipal organ shows and council trips. Tiraspol is accessible to everyone since 1919, who can glimpse nights' foyers and ballrooms, old rooms, the castle cathedral and the organ with its 2,500 pipes. 7. Tourbillon Castle. The mountainous Swiss landscape proved to be perfect for medieval castles and fortifications, many of which sit atop cliff-edged hilltops. Tourbillon Castle is no exception. Located in the southwestern part of Switzerland, Tourbillon Castle was built between the 13th and 14th centuries. The castle has had a tumultuous past since it housed bishops from the Diocese of Sion. Undergoing several attacks and attempts to besiege the castle. The first serious attack with lasting damages happened in 1417 when a large part of the castle was destroyed. Luckily, shortly after, rebuilding and repair work took place, but in 1788 a completely destructive fire that had overtaken the city of Sion destroyed the castle to ashes. In the 20th century the castle ruins were excavated and restoration took place in the 60s and the 90s. Tourbillon Castle is part of the Valais and Tourbillon complex, where the castle sits atop one hill directly opposite the Cathedral of Valais, which is located on another hill. 8. Gutenberg Castle. Near the center of the town of Balzers, you can find this castle situated on a hill and is accessible via a street and road known as Bergweg. This castle is one of the many castles of the Principality and one of two withstood conserved until today. This castle is very different from Vaduz Castle in Vaduz. Gutenberg Castle does not assist as a dwelling of the imperial household of Liechtenstein and is available to the common public as a museum. 9. Oberhofen Castle. The oldest portions of the turreted castle age back to 1200 AD, its huge white curl bulging onto the lake in the Swiss canton of Bern. Murals and Romanesque frescoes dating around to the 13th-15th century adorning the cathedral and the Turkish smoking lounge is not something worth forgetting. It looks like you have stepped back into the 16th to 19th centuries as you stroll through the splendor of the Oberhofen Castle, which castle sits straddled on the beaches of Lake Thun. 10. Castello di Montebello. The centers of the castle age back to the 13th and 14th centuries and have been rebuilt numerous times to conserve their actual state. This is an additional spectacle castle with impressions of Lake Maggiore in the expanse. It has superficial enclosures with buildings, and Rivellino was built and is available from the residential region of Nacca or Viale Stazione. "90 meters over Castelgrande is Castello di Montebello on Montebello Cliff. This is where the new defenses of the old town began. Castles are a significant part of Switzerland's history and culture. So while you pay a visit to Switzerland, don't forget to drop by and relish in the beauty. If you want to visit Switzerland, ensure to check our Switzerland tour packages at the Pick Your Trail website. If you want to build your itinerary, you can customize your Switzerland itinerary on the Pick Your Trail website. 11. Vufflins Castle. Vufflins Castle is located in the canton of Vaud in western Switzerland and is a privately owned 15th century castle. Despite not being open to the public, seeing the castle up close in person is worth every second. Surrounded by rows and rows of vineyards, Vufflins Castle dominates the surrounding landscape with its beautiful square and round towers. Vufflins Castle was preceded by an earlier medieval castle. For a century Vufflins Castle stood uninterrupted until 1530, when a Bernese army set the castle on fire. It was another century before the castle was acquired by the Seigneur-Clean's family. Even though the whole structure hasn't survived to this day in its original form, several features from the original castle remain. These include the 60-meter-high donjon, several towers, outbuildings, the gatehouse, as well as the surrounding wall. Vuffelin's castle is one of the most significant examples of the fortified Romandie castles. Built to face Lake Geneva, it is one of the oldest castles in the whole canton. The surrounding vineyards provide grapes for the wine that is produced in the castle's cellars. 12. Munot Fortress. Munot Fortress in North Swiss city of Schaffhausen is a 16th century circular fortification that rises above the surrounding landscape and thus is also the main landmark of the city. Overlooking the Old Town and Rhine River, it boasts spectacular panorama views that historically served to its advantage. Controlling the river pass and spotting any threats in the town, like fires, for example, that would break out rather often. Munot Fortress was always a defensive structure and never a residence. This is one of the main reasons why the structure remains almost completely in its original form as residential. Castles tended to be rebuilt and extended more often than defensive ones. 13. Champfont Castle. Situated on a hill above the valley of Thela, Champfont Castle has a harmonious appearance that fits perfectly into the surrounding landscape. It is one of the best preserved medieval fortifications in the country, and it was one of the castles built by the lords of Grandson. Champfont Castle dates back to the 13th century. Architecturally, the castle follows the Savoy square structure with a rectangular enclosure and 4 round towers in each corner. The largest tower is also a donjon. During the Burgundian Wars, the castle suffered serious fire damage. But was rebuilt in the 16th century, and since then it remains private property, thus it can only be appreciated from the outside. 14. Orberg Castle. The beautiful Orberg Castle complex in northern Switzerland dates back to the medieval times. Even though the exact date of when the castle was built is unknown, it was first mentioned in writing around the 13th century. The castle was besieged in 1415 by the Bernese, and in the 16th century extensive renovations and extension work started on the site that continued well into the 17th century. The central parts of the castle are located on a narrow ridge. This part includes a limestone walled keep and a tower house. Interestingly, the bottom floor is made up from the rock on the hill. It was directly carved out. 15. Grandson Castle. One of the most unique castles in Switzerland when it comes to design is the Stockelper Grandson Castle, is the second largest chateau in Switzerland. Overlooking the beautiful Lake Neuchâtel in western Switzerland, the impressive medieval stronghold is both impressive and awe-inspiring. The medieval fortress dates back to as far as the 11th century, even though continuous construction took place up until the 14th century. Otto I of Grandson, who rebuilt the castle in the 13th century, had close ties to the English royalty and especially Edward I. Thus the importance of grandson rule in the Swiss territory cannot be overlooked. One of the most significant times in the history of the castle was in the late 15th century. When it played an important role in the Burgundian Wars and the Battle of Grandson. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you are visiting our YouTube channel for the first time, please subscribe it so that you can get a notification whenever we upload new video.